Hello, this is Shane Ashman, and today I'm going to show a bit of the assets video, but it won't be nearly as long because, again, most of the assets I use for my micro game I actually learned from making this game, which is the first one. So basically, for those sprites, I use Pisco. Back in my scenes, my other scenes right here, for my other screens right here, all these other ones, beside the first level, I used basically Photoshop to help create basically my title screens and the backgrounds. However, I actually want to talk more about the sprites I didn't use. Basically, I wanted to try and put other things like if a player gets hurt, there should be an animation or something. But looking back at it now, I realize it wouldn't really work for another reason. Not just because I can implement it. Most of these, like these spikes, would make sense. Like you get hurt and you move back and there. This makes sense that you just reappear at the checkpoint. It just makes more sense, like in general. The same for the cannon too. I mean, also the way that she's being pushed back, it's like it'd be pushed back from the left or the right, maybe not up and down. That just makes less sense. Maybe I could rotate it, but even then it'd just be a bit weird. But the other one, this was basically my game over animation. So basically, the person gets killed. Yeah, like it just evaporates or something. That was basically my whole plan with this one. Yeah. But the problem is, I couldn't get it to like transition back when I got to 0, but at the same time freeze at the point to switch to the next scene. There's the advantage of having all those different scenes. It's hard to like switch between them back and forth, or they try and freeze the game for all the scenes and stuff. I didn't have to do it back then. But I'm keeping these, but I will eventually give you guys a GitHub of this. I actually did it with my micro game already, and I'm just gonna leave these assets in because maybe you guys know how to use them. You know, might not with, and you know, and stuff that they could be useful. But I'm going to talk more about the stuff which I did use to make, but didn't show up last time because I didn't actually need them. Because my micro game didn't have any tile sheets or a tile map. This one does. Right here. This is all my color box for the different rooms. Except for the background. The background is literally just taking a sprite from one of these and then just using the tiles to draw to like talk about specific different length. That's what I did for all of these other ones. So that's it. It's a good shortcut to get a background. Because the thing is, I couldn't make a tile map, but at the same time make certain tiles solid, and some of them just pass through. I didn't know how to do that, so just made a bunch of backgrounds instead with the exact same tiles, and just align them there. But anywho. Basically, to make the tile map before I import it in, I use this Pisco Edit. It's actually the proper version of this. This is Pisco Edit, a bit more of a beta version. I can't open them both at the same time. Yeah, I didn't know that. So yeah, but there's no point looking at the old version, even though it is completely free. But this version actually brought for myself, and it's not bad. It's pretty good. It's basically like the other version, except it's a lot more stable. This one is completely free, but at times where it just freezes you, it doesn't work. And it's extremely a lot more basic, but it does work in making tiles. So basically, this is how I did it. And then the best part is, once you've created your tiles, you can just align them up here, test them out, see if they look properly, if they're okay. Like I can do this right here. See that? This is like for the top. Looks like it's all aligned perfectly fine, so that's nice. Or this one at the bottom, again, lined pretty sweetly right there. You can also drag it like where to make this work. It's extremely simple. This is the one for the middle. Unfortunately, I had to couldn't use these ones because I couldn't make it so that these ones could go through and certain of ones become solids. But instead, I improvised and just made them as a background. But yeah, pretty simple to use once you play around and set it up. It's not that complicated, but you have to pay for it though. And honestly, it works pretty well. It's really chuffed. I think I can also use it to make sprites. I think honestly, I prefer to make it to I think you. But honestly, this film come to making this tile sheet of it, and it worked really well. It was quite great. Oh, no, oh, no. I don't want to save it. But however, there was some of the problems. Sometimes I actually talk over some of my sprites actually. Let's see. Let's go back to my sprites. My original sprites right here, a bit of a problem. The outline was black, but it was blending too well this background, so you could barely see it. So I had to pretty much change it. Basically, I had to improvise and physically change this myself. This is actually pretty simple to do. What you do is I went to open, like so, and it actually opens up like this image right here. But then, if I can remember how I did this, let's see. How did I do this? I remember that I opened it, but then here we go. Open with. That was it. Yeah, open with, and then basically what I did was is that I went to a little program like this, like Critter. It could be also Photoshop as well. If I want to make any edits or changes towards it, but without having to just get rid of this, go back to Pisco and edit it, and then re-import it all over again. I can actually make edits on the fly. It's really useful. So let's see this loads up and actually show you guys this. And you do it automatically. There we go. And basically, I can make edits to this. Like I had to change the outline to make more sense because it was like black before. It didn't work. So I had to change the outline to certain colors to blend with the background. Then afterwards, when I made any changes, I exit now. But if I made any changes, I exit. It asks me to save. You click save. Doesn't matter where you save it because the change is due with this specific version within the sprite sheet, and not the overall version you have back at Pisco. And then any change you make to there also apply to Unity. And basically it's fantastic. It's a huge shortcut to use with your assets. It's much easier than like removing this, then going back to Pisco, making changes, then putting everything again. Because if I do that, then I'd also have to do something else too. I'd have to redo my animations. That's not fun. And also put them back in the manager and all that stuff. Let's see, where is it? I'd have to redo my animations like this, redo these ones again, and then also have to redo the animator as well. So let's see, let's player one, respawn. Let's see. Here we go, player. That's it. Then I have to go back and go into these ones again and redo everything else with my code. And well, yeah, that would have been annoying. Just to make that edit. Very useful. Remember that. Remember this very well. Basically, you can literally open up the sprites right there. Then go to open with a program, make any changes, and then automatic changes to there. Of course, if you're doing it for sprite sheet, you have to make sure you have to change it exactly the same with the rest of them. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. Yeah, it was a huge shortcut for me. It was absolutely fantastic, and I was like beaming when I figured this out. It was just so much easier. But also, you can tell that this is my first project because of this. All of my assets here, yeah. I had way too many here to pop up, and there's probably a much easier way to do this. I basically made empty game objects as folders, just to put the stuff here so it wouldn't be all over the place. But there's probably a code somewhere I can easily just duplicate this and leave it as is. Yes, it's a prefab, and prefabs, you can reuse them, but you still have to duplicate them and stuff like that in the screen. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about with it. It isn't that much because most of the assets I explained and talked about, I also used them right here first. As well talk about the stuff which I didn't use before, which in this case was the was basically how I made a tile sheet. And then pretty much I import it into here, and then afterwards I had to apply the colliders and rigid body, make sure that my player can actually move around the tiles. Pretty useful, because once you do that, when you go to window and 2D palette, I can pretty much delete any of these, put these back in, and it'll automatically apply the collider for me. I had to do additional change of certain colliders because some weren't exactly the same size. But besides that, it all went pretty well. But that's all we wanted to talk about with the assets. It's not much to talk about really, because it's exactly the same. That's what I did with my micro game. I just want to mention how you can easily change and make any changes to your assets without having to re-import a whole thing over again, because that'd been frustrating. But yeah, and this is also the last game I'm going to put in my portfolio, basically for now, for my basically for the games which are fully made. I feel like the other one I made wasn't as good or finished, but this game, and the one I showed for my micro game I made, was much better. But as being my portfolio is going to be just that. Yes, next time I'm going to start making basically my mini builds, and these ones won't have an assets video because they don't have any assets in it. It's literally just making the game mechanic. So stick around for that soon enough, because I'm going to start making those straight away. And it's going to be a whole lot fun, less frustrating than this. I tell you, trying to transition between your old version of Unity and new one is a giant pain. So many hoops to jump through. Flaming hoops of annoyance, that is. But this is Shane Ashman, and see you next time.